So I'm going to read Candle Cove. This is one of my favorite creepypastas. It's not scary, but I love this one. And I'll tell you why at the end. So this starts off with someone named Sky going, does anyone remember this kid show? It was called Candle Cove. I think it ran between 71 or 72. I was like 6 or 7, but I've never been able to find a reference to it. So I think it was on a local TV station. I don't remember what station though, but I do remember that it was on a weird time. I think 4 o'clock p.m. And then Mike goes, yeah, seems familiar. I grew up outside Ashland. I was 9 years old in 72, so you said Candle Cove. Was it about pirates? Because I remember this pirate marionette at the mouth of a cave talking to this little girl. And Sky goes, yeah, so I'm not crazy. But I do remember Pirate Percy. He kind of scared me as a kid. He looked like he was built of parts from other dolls. It was really low budget. He had the head of a porcelain doll. It looked antique, but it didn't look like it belonged there. I don't remember what station that is, but I don't really think it matters. And Jaren, new person in this conversation. Sorry to resurrect an old thread, but I know exactly what show you mean, Sky, and I think Candle Cove ran for only a few months, and in 71, not 72. I was 12 and I watched it a few times with my brother. It was on channel 58, whatever station that is. And my mom would let me turn it on after the news. That is what I remember. I also remember it took place in Candle Cove, and it was about a little girl who imagined herself to be friends with pirates. The pirate ship was called the Laughingstock. And Pirate Percy wasn't a really good pirate. He was scared of everything. And there was calliope music constantly playing. I don't remember what the girl's name is. Janice, Jade, something. I think it was Janice. And this guy goes, yeah, memories are flooding back as you mentioned the Laughingstock and Channel 58. I remember the bow of the ship having a wooden smiley face with a lower jaw submerged. It kind of did look like it was swallowing the sea, and it had an awful voice to it. I especially remember how jarring it was when they switched from the wooden to plastic model to the foam puppets version. And Mike goes, I remember now too. Do you remember this part? You have to go inside. And Sky goes, oh yeah, that's chilling to read that. Yeah, I remember that. The ship always told Percy when there were spooky places he had to go inside. And the camera would push in on the Laughingstock's face each time, you have to go inside. With his 2 eyes and that flopping foam jaw and the fishing line that opened and closed, it looked cheap and it was awful. You guys remember the villain? His face kind of like a handlebar mustache. Probably really tall, narrow teeth. And then Kevin joins. I honestly thought the villain was Pirate Percy. I was about 5 when this show came on. It was nightmare fuel. That wasn't a villain. The puppet with the mustache. That was the villain's sidekick. Horace Horrible. Yeah, he had a monocle too. But it was always on top of that mustache. I used to think he only had 1 eye. But yeah, the villain was another marionette, the Skin Taker. I can't believe what they let us watch back then. Oh my word, yeah. The Skin Taker, what kind of kid show were we watching? Seriously? He was like the scariest thing ever. Just a dirty skeleton wearing a brown top hat and a cape. And a glass eye that were too big for his skull. Wasn't the top hat and cloak also crazily? What was that even supposed to be a children's show? What was it supposed to be? Children's skin? Ugh. That's like the grossest part. Yeah, the mouth didn't open or close and just slid back and forth. I remember the girl said, why does your mouth move like that? And then the Skin Taker would say, to take your skin. I am so relieved people remember that horrible show. I used to have an awful memory or a bad dream where the ending with the opening jingle ending and the show would fade into black and all the characters were there, but the camera was just cutting to each of their faces and they were screaming. And the puppets and the marionettes were flailing spastically and just screaming and screaming. The girl was just crying and it was like hours of this. I woke up many times from the nightmare and I just went to bed again. I don't think that was a dream because I remember that. That was an episode. No, that's not possible. There was no plot or anything. I mean, literally just standing in a place crying and screaming for the whole show. Maybe I'm manufacturing my memory because you said that, but I swear, I remember seeing what you described. They just screamed. Oh, yeah, the little girl Janice, I remember her. And the skin taker, they were screaming. All you saw was the nasty teeth. I thought it would come off of his wired hinges. I turned it off, and that was the last time I watched the show. I ran to my brother, and we didn't have the courage to turn it back on. And then Mike, to end this conversation, goes, I visited my mom in the nursing home today, and I asked her about the early 70s show. I was 8 or 9. And I wanted to see if she remembered Candle Cove, but what she said surprised me. I couldn't remember. And I asked why, and she said because. I just used to think it was strange. You would want to watch this Candle Cove, and I would let you turn the TV, and it would just be static. And you would just watch dead air for 30 minutes. You had a big imagination with your little pirate show, though. So here's why this one's my favorite. It's the idea if you think something is so real, but it ends up it's not. And it's fake. But so many people remember it. Like, that's the weirdest thing, but it's such a cool concept. Like, you could remember something and everyone have that same memory, but didn't actually happen. I think that's why I like this one so much. It's one of those ones that gets your brain thinking, how is that possible? And give you many ideas. It opens your mind to thinking. I think that's why this one's my favorite. But that was Candle Cove. Not the scariest. It is a little gross, but not scary. But I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!